プレイヤースキルマッチアップに近いイメージなんだけど。アンベッサでやるんだ。アンベッサきつくない？グエン相手。
Especially during the lane swap meta, was the guy you would pick tanks on. You'd leave him in the 1v2, he'd be fine. Rarely do you see him go for these, resource-dependent champions, but in this meta, you gotta go for the Ambessa when you get a chance. So Hoya in a huge spot against one of the premier top laners right now in the LPL.
And we just saw him on a Rumble game that didn't look all that great, so going to be interesting to see what we get from this Ambessa. Again, another dive composition here for Thunder Talk. A lot of priority now going towards the bottom side of the map. Hope and Kael have been more than willing to go for scaling lanes more often than not.
あかりのスノーボールゲームに対してエールはスケールゲームって感じ。だボットレーンの主導権 TT 取らないといけない。アッシュカリスタカリスタがもうなんかバンされなくなってんね LPL は。 LCK どうなんだろう。まあ BO1 だからやんないのかな。あカリスタ考えてるじゃん。ニコバンってことはアッシュだ。
Thunder Talk don't want to deal with it in their second game of Group B.
All right, a lot of AD carries, especially with that Ezreal gone. I wonder if we're going to potentially see a Caitlyn ban. No, they're going to get rid of the Renata, which I think is perfectly fine here. Playing with a lot of tools for a dive or for a team fight composition. I wouldn't be surprised to eventually see a Kai'Sa here. It would be dangerous, but we should see one half of the bottom lane from Thunder Talk. And would allow for them to be able to play very flexibly into the Ashe, though, would require something like a Nautilus to help pair up with it.
We are seeing the shortcomings of an Ashe pick coming through in that last game between RNG and Ultra Prime, so you got to be really careful with how you play around this Ashe, especially into another Gwen, right? So we're seeing that
先出し何でもいい状態。何がいいかな。セカンドエンゲージ、ファーストエンゲージが欲しいな。レオナノーチ、レル。一応アリスターっていうのもエールあるけど。
And I think this is going to be a tough
ファーストエンゲージだからレルレオナの方が手頭そうだから。あアリスタいった。受けるって相手のエンゲージ。こっちはセカンドエンゲージが欲しいからね TT は。
And now you have the skirmish
power of
the Corki very early on with the Alistar. I think the only way you might be able to save this from Thunder Talk is going to be this double range matchup. But even we saw this coming in yesterday for LGD. There were some that looked good for the Seraphine. But I think the Braum might just be a little bit better, especially when you talk about